In the last movie, we looked at how to add fields to our form's design and organize elements on the page. Now let's turn our attention to the Format tab. The Format tab has many of the common formatting options that you may recognize from other programs such as Word or Excel. We're going to continue refining our employee directory form, and I'm going to switch it over here into Design View. Now on the contextual tabs up here at the top, we'll switch to the Format tab. The first section over here is the Selection section. I can choose from a list of all the elements that are on my form. For instance, Department here will highlight that element over here on the form. I could even choose all of the different labels, although those aren't clearly defined. For instance, Label 3, I'm not sure which one that is, but I can click on it and it's apparently this building label here. We also have a button to select all of my elements. I can also use the keyboard shortcut Control-A to do the same thing. So if I click anywhere out here to deselect and press Control-A, that'll select everything as well. Next, we have this font section. I'm going to go ahead and choose this first box here and take a look at the fonts. We have our standard options here to change the font face or size. We can make it bold, italic, or underlined. We can change the font color by using this box here, and using the drop-down we can get the different color chips. Or we can choose its color background. For instance, if I change it to an orange color, you'll see that it highlights the whole thing back here in a light orange. Let's go ahead and select this box again, and I'll change the background color back to automatic. I'm going to change the font to a bold face and change it to a 14-point size. For number fields, such as our hire date, I'll go ahead and select that. We have these options over here. We can change their formatting. Since this is a date, we have some different options here. I can choose a general date format, a long date, medium date, short date, and so on. Let's go ahead and choose short date to change its formatting. If we take a look at it back in Form View, I'll switch back to the Home tab and switch my view here. We can see the date format here. If I switch my view back to Design View, take a look at that hire date on the Format tab, and change it to long date, we can see that change. This is what it looks like as a long date. Now dates and number fields are always right aligned, whereas text fields are left aligned. Let's go ahead and make it so that everything is flush to the left. I'll switch my view back to Design View. I'll make sure that my hire date is still selected. And on the Format tab, I'll press this button here to choose Left Align. Just like when we're moving elements around, we can also select multiple things at once and change their formatting at the same time. For instance, I can shift-click multiple items here to select them, or if I click off, I can drag a box to select everything here, and I can change their formatting at the same time. For instance, I'll change this to a 9-point font, and I'll change the font color to this light gray down over here. Let's go ahead and deselect and take a look at that change. I'll switch back to the Home tab and take a look at it in Form View, and I can see those changes here. I also want to change the employee ID to be the same as these labels over here. Let's switch back into Design View again, and we can make that change using something called the Format Painter. First, I'm going to select an element that has the formatting the way I want it. I'll go ahead and select this building label here. Then I'm going to use this paintbrush icon here called the Format Painter. I'll click on it once to activate it, and then I'll come over here and click on Employee ID. When I do that, I'm painting the formatting from building to this label over here. So it's inheriting the same font, size, color, and other details and applying it to this same label. Now notice that as soon as I did that, the Format Painter actually got deselected. If I wanted to apply the same formatting to multiple objects, what I can do is double-click the Format Painter to lock it on. So I'm going to go ahead and select it once to deselect it. I'll go ahead and choose all of these objects here, and I'll just change them back to something else, say a 12-point font, and I'll just make it orange for a second. We'll click off of it. This time I'll choose this label. I'll double-click the Format Painter, and I can click each of these elements in turn with the Format Painter to apply the same formatting without it deselecting the Format Painter tool. Once I'm done, I'll just go ahead and deselect the Format Painter again, and that'll return me to this white arrow. Now I can go ahead and select off of it to deselect this label up here. Let's go ahead and change this employee ID number to make it really big and bold. I'm going to select it here. I'm going to choose a bold font. I'm going to go ahead and change the font face to Impact, which is nice and heavy. And I'm going to change its size really big. I'm going to make it 48 point. When I do that, you can see that it's extending outside of the area that I've allotted to it. So what I also want to do is make this bigger so that face will fit right inside of here. And since this is a number, I want to make sure that it's left aligned so that it stays even with the label above it. So go ahead and choose this left align button here. Let's also go ahead and change the color while we're at it. I'll use this drop-down list here, and I'm going to choose this aqua blue color. Go ahead and take a look at those changes in Form View, and that's what our form is looking like. Now there's one more change that I want to make, and this drives me absolutely crazy about Access. Inside of our forms, every field that we add gets outlined in a rectangle or a box. This adds dramatically to the visual clutter of our pages, and we can clean things up dramatically by getting rid of those extra boxes. So let's make that change in Design View. I'll click on the View button and switch to Design View. I'll go ahead and select everything, and if you remember, that shortcut is Control-A, or on the Format tab, you can press Select All. And then over here under Shape Outline, I'm going to click the downward pointing arrow, and instead of choosing one of these color chips, I'm going to come down here and choose Transparent. Now I'll select Off, go back to the Home tab, and take a look at our form. That's looking much cleaner. So the Format tab puts many common controls right up front on the ribbon. Changing fonts and colors and line styles here can be really quick, especially if you make good use of the Format Painter tool. But for some serious control over every aspect of our form, we're going to need to dig a little bit deeper and explore the Property sheet. We'll see that feature in just a bit.